Alright, welcome back to the Wallace branch. And here we are following the NP local, which is being headed by Richard Dreyfuss. On the way to Wallace, basically almost halfway between Mullen and Wallace. This is the grouse sighting. Very short sighting that doesn't really get a lot of use. Don't have too many trains passing because we only usually have one local per day. And the UP has its own tracks, so they don't need to pass there either. It's only 10:30 in the morning, but this session seems to be making a lot of progress today, and I do have that little ambition to potentially try to get 2 runs over Lookout Pass today instead of the usual just managing to do 1. And the reason why we usually manage to only do 1 is because of jumping around between the UP and the NP side or doing a lot of shunting moves, but maybe this time we have a chance to do things a little bit more efficiently for the NP or Burlington Northern side of the route. And that would be important because we have 6 tasks to complete in terms of our urgent or daily tasks, and 2 of them have been completed already, but it's going to be difficult to get all 4 of the remaining ones done in time. Other things that are going on from the last episode, we still have a little bit of ingot loading that needs to get finished off, and Jessica Rabbit is over there handling that. And then we still have our cement gathering going over in Haugen, and so that's probably what I will turn to very quickly. But before we do that, I'm going to come back to somebody that we haven't seen a lot of recently, and that's Eric Rodman. Eric Rodman is in this NP RS3. And all Eric Rodman needs to do is finish loading this string of bulkhead flats with pipes here at Salty's Pipe. Now, I believe that Salty's has to actually load up 14 cars of pipes, so this is sort of a first installment. And some of these pipes, not all, have to go over the pass. So it's a good thing to load them up here if we're thinking about potentially doing... didn't slow down very quickly as I'd hoped. If we're trying to do 2... trips over the pass, maybe it's possible that we can get this loaded up and over the pass as a first installment. Yeah, I think that some of these have to go to the Bunker Hill and Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken. And we have some empty boxcars that could also be useful to take over the pass as well. So that's it for Eric Rodman. So next we are back with Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers is this set of Milwaukee GP9s, and we are handling our train of mostly empty cars, but some cement, some filled with cement, and we just have to load 2 more of these. You can see that we've got a couple other loaded cars here on this the track where we load cement, but I don't think that we're going to be able to back this whole string into the cement facility easily. So therefore, I'm going to take the 2 loaded that are on the end. I'm going to take them and set them on the main line temporarily, load 2 more, and then drag the whole string of loaded cars back into this little Haugen area. Now, of those loaded cars, some will be taken by the NP over to Osborne, but most will be taken on the Milwaukee daily train, let's say, will be switched into the Milwaukee train and taken into Missoula. And we could have taken this whole string of cars over the pass and finished up the delivery to Osborne, but unfortunately these cars are too heavy to take over the pass, even with 4 GP9s in a consist. So we can stop that there. And I think this will work, but I don't know for sure. Just going to see what is loading overall. I see that we are actually unloading some of that lumber at the Bunker Hill and Sullivan. So that's good. It's a heavy grade right here in this one spot. It's a little bit unfortunate aspect of the design of the Wallace branch. They have a lot of shunting that happens to take place at this spot as well. Something that I could potentially address. Come over here and follow this closely. Slow moving train, but fortunately no traffic on the highway at this hour. Don't know why. I do see one car in the far, far distance there, probably too small to see on YouTube. All right, well, we're going pretty fast here, so time to slow down a little bit. This is going to work. I have a bad feeling about this. If it turns out that these three cars are exactly how much would fit, it's going to be a big waste of time here. Just eyeballing it right now, I'm going to say we can probably fit one more car. Maybe we'll make it. Ah, Mother Slug is here. Welcome. Welcome back. Great to see you. Looks like we are indeed going to be able to fill both of these cars as planned. That was overly pessimistic. Okay, so I think we'll just jump back to our NP local. Okay, and our NP local is indeed already here, already arrived, ready to go. So the next question is, what ready to go where? And I think before he can go anywhere, we're going to have to sort out a few extra things. First of all, Tasha Yar is blocking the UP's only track through the yard. Now, Tasha Yar has to go to the smelter, and the main reason that we hadn't actually taken her any further on was just because we have another train coming with sand going towards the bottle plant in Silverton. Mother Slug says, cement is currently hauled 92% by truck due to the decline of rail since the 1950s. And that is not at all surprising to me. It is sad. And when my dad was working on the Burlington Northern and when the interstate highway was being built across Lookout Pass, he expressed some disappointment or sadness that the railroad was actually hauling cement over the pass to build the interstate highway that would presumably then compete with or just replace the railroad. And I'm sure at that time the railroad was already planning to retire the Wallace branch entirely. And that is what I designed the route in part to reflect. This concrete hump is partly reflecting the construction of the interstate at that time. Now, this is the second to last train that will be heading with ore for the smelter, and it is the last Union Pacific train that will head towards the smelter with ore. For this super session, I'm calling it. Extended session, I guess, is probably a better word. So let's just hold Tasha Yar here beyond the bridge. I don't want to pull her too far forward just in case it interferes with the AI. Okay, now that we have her there, we can come in with the UP local. Which needs to go with fruit to Mullen. All switches should be correct except the last one, but I can't see it because I'm lost in the trees. Here we go. Okay, we better get Tasha just a little bit further down. Mother Slug says the New England and Lehigh had some very interesting rail cars made to carry cement in red metal barrels, all of which were scrapped. Yeah. Very interesting. All right, so this is the UP local heading for Mullen. And it should be a simple matter to simply drive to Mullen UP. Is there no UP main track? Now let's just go to NP main then. Mullen is the last stop on the Wallace branch for the UP. So I think for the NP local, we can just decouple here. This is moving a little bit slowly, so I think I'm going to jet over and check on the progress of a couple of our other trains. It seems like actually the UP local is just stopped, so maybe I will check some switches just to make sure path is more or less clear. Yeah, I think we're going to have to actually take control. The track profile shows that there's a blockage somewhere up here, not too far away in my opinion. But I actually don't see where that blockage is. Oh, here, perhaps? Ah, the reason why I didn't see where it was is because we are just on the wrong track completely. If I had simply been watching him, I would have seen that we'd gone up the wrong track. And I'm guessing that the AI might have thrown this switch, but I don't know. I don't remember checking it. So perhaps if Hank can simply get beyond this switch, then the AI can take over. Yes, indeed, AI did switch that switch. I knew it was not my fault. Okay, I didn't know it. But I'm glad to report that it was, this time, not my fault. Now, unless I'm very much mistaken, we should be able to continue. Indeed. Well, I'm certainly glad that while checking switches, we did not have a collision. That, at least, is a small victory for sanity. Yes, okay. I was about to flip it, but then autopilot flipped it for me. So, it's all good. And we just need to back up into the main Wallace warehouse, which is served by both railroads in this fictional layout. Mother Slug asks if I can only pick one railroad, which would I pick? Southern Pacific or Burlington route? Oh gosh, we are really speeding. Dangerous levels. And I guess I would be loyal to the Hill lines and pick the Burlington route, which became part of the Burlington Northern, the CB&Q, of course. But for diesel era, I would have to give the edge to the Southern Pacific. I really do like the Southern Pacific designs, particularly the Black Widow scheme. The various Burlington route schemes were, a lot of them seem to have been inspired by the, the Silver Zephyr. Okay, next we are here with Woody Harrelson, GP38-2. And all we have to do is back this train up and unload some sand. And I believe all we have to do is keep it kind of in the 3 mile an hour range is my guess. I think. Not seeing any action though. Perhaps it's not an unloading while moving. Clearly that one car had unloaded, so we know that it is working. Or at least it has been working this session so far. Okay, so here we are with Jessica. And Jessica is at the smelter. And just finishing off the loading up of these boxcars with ingots. As to whether this will actually be able to fit all of these cars, well, last time when we were at the cement track, I said probably not. So this time I'm going to say I think that they will fit all the cars. It's looking good so far, that's for sure. Now, while all this is going on, I think I'm going to have Jessica do a little bit more work here. All of these cars will be going off the map towards Plumber. Mother Slug says, SP all the way for me. I don't trust anybody that doesn't like the SP. They were the underdogs. They had some really great trains for its time. I do not disagree. Mother Slug says that biplane character looks like a younger version of me. I think that's referring to Donald Sutherland, the driver or engineer who's operating the Cessna, which is flying on autopilot all over the map. And Mother Slug asks, did I make this route? I did make this route, and as I have said before, I do hope to release this route as a DLC, and I would appreciate help from others in figuring out how to do that, because I just lack the experience to know how to overcome certain problems. But that project is a little bit on hold right now because I've been very busy. Also because in terms of trains, I've really been doing a lot of work on creating cabs, which I hope to actually show you some progress during this episode today. Of the approximately 5 locomotive cabs that I would like to make, I have really made a very big start on a couple of them. But in the last week or so, I have actually finished, or largely finished, at least as far as I can tell, finished one of them, which is the SW1200. And I have a lot of SW1200s on my other route, which is the modified version of the P&B. But I do have one of them on this route as well, which is the Northern Pacific SW1200. Northern Pacific didn't use SW1200s on Wallace as far as I know, but I just liked it, and I think it's good to have a little variety. I believe that basically for the UP and NP, they were just using GP9s all the way in Kellogg in this area. And this smelter area is a 100% created by me. All of the assets in this complex, except the most basic ones like little shacks or whatever, all of the smelter assets were created by me, and there is a build series episode around that. And Mother Slug asks, curious, how long did it take you to build this area? And I would say it took a couple weeks of very intense modeling. And there is one episode of the Wallace Branch build series on YouTube that covers the smelter. And it includes both Blender and the actual building of this area in trains proper. And if I had it to do the build series over again, I definitely would have made the episodes shorter and probably not included quite as much Blender modeling. And as I said at the time during the build series, I did include some of that modeling because I knew that I myself would like to watch the building of the layout. I mean, I think it's one of the nice things about creating your own layout is that you have the potential to sort of sorry about that. Had to cough all of a sudden. Yeah, you have the ability to memorialize your own work a little bit and, you know, kind of own it and collect it. If you like collecting things, probably you like collecting the whole process of building the route just as much as collecting the actual things of the route itself. So yeah, I wanted to kind of be able to watch some of the highlights of creating the smelter complex. And I believe this complex is highly accurate, even though it's based largely on photos and some really large-scale maps. Library of Congress keeps some excellent photos that were taken in the I would say late 1970s or possibly early 80s of the smelter complex. And interestingly, the photos that are on the Library of Congress website, most of them are actually backwards, like horizontally flipped. And I studied them for a long time and was completely baffled at what I was looking at until I realized that. And then, of course, once I flipped them to the correct direction, it all made sense. Okay, so this is filling with silver and lead. It looks like the lead is about half done. Okay, so Kenny Rogers. I don't know, should we attempt to... I see there's a little bit of an HD artifact here that I hadn't noticed before. Should we attempt to do... Oh, of course, we have to pick up these cars. And then we should just put it on this track, I think. I think we'll put everything on this track, but I will separate out 3 cars to make it obvious which ones are being taken away back to Wallace versus which ones are going to Missoula. All right, everything is lined up. And yes, it's that old downgrade that I kind of forgot about. You know, it's just so deceptive because it looks kind of flat. So maybe step 1, stop the train. And step 2, attempt to back up the train. It will be somewhat pathetic. Now, we do have some other Milwaukee engines over at DeBorgia that could come help out here. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit pathetic. It could have easily been prevented, you know. But once we're started, momentum will presumably carry this forward because it's not like the grade continues indefinitely. Mother Slug is looking for a few custom station assets, and I don't know what to suggest. I don't do custom assets for other people. I only do things that I'm interested in creating for my own use, and generally I have such a long list of things that I want to create that any suggestions from other people I just have to ignore it. Even if, those suggestions are beautiful things that would be really fun to model at some level, I just don't have that ability to take on anything else. But yeah, what should you do if you are interested in having somebody else create something? I think, generally speaking, I would recommend not to offer to pay people because I think most of the people who play trains are a little bit on the older side to begin with, more like hobbyists in model railroading. So the amount of money that you would need to give them to incentivize them is, it's not like piecework that they're doing it as a career type thing. They're doing it for fun only. So yeah, I think a lot of people do seem to have the impression that, if I could there's a bunch of young creators out there who are happy to do these sorts of things. I think that if it's somebody who's like into just Blender modeling and they're not into Trains, the computer game, then they're not going to do a job that's going to satisfy you. It would have to be somebody who's actually into Trains, both Trains with an S and Trains with a Z, or else you're not going to get what you want, and those people tend to be more hobbyists who are doing things for pleasure. So, asking other people to do work for you usually is not successful, but there are a few creators that I have seen, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble by saying their names, but there are a few creators where if you post on the forums like, hey, I'm working on this route, it'd be really awesome if I had the station, not asking for anybody specific if they would be willing to do it for you, but maybe just trying to interest them in it. That might be the cleverest approach, but of course you'd have to go into it with very low expectations in terms of whether somebody would even reply. Okay, so I'm going to separate out those cars. And then the rest of the cars will be going towards Missoula. Okay, so time to head out. Couple these cars back up, because these will be going back to Missoula in the NP local, either on this train or on the next train. So now the question is, what is the next step? And I think the next step is to just take these cars, these two boxcars only, with a caboose, back to Mullen. And that will reflect the idea that we're sort of in a hurry to get over the Lookout Pass and maybe make 2 trips. And that means that we can uncouple these two GP9s and have them be the trailing part of the train. Actually, let's not decouple there. Let's decouple here, because I think it would be more prototypical to have the caboose, have them behind the caboose. They're the helper. It's always nice to see two trains in motion at once, but it's not ideal when the AI starts throwing the switches in front of you. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is the AI getting confused. Like most people, I use AI sort of generically to refer to computers, computer behavior, and now that AI tools are more prominent, I should probably start making a more clear distinction between what is and what is not actually AI, as opposed to simply a line of code in a program. So here we're talking more about the program trains and specifically the junction derailment prevention rule, which gets confused quite a bit. But yeah, let's have these locomotives will go forward here like this. And yeah, we have a little bit of problems with our cabooses in the Wallace area, generally speaking, because they're all over the place. They're kind of a mess. We really need to establish and actually start having a caboose track. But that takes time to shunt, so generally I've been sort of too busy with the real work of the railroad to do that. Of course, I could just grab both of these cabooses, and that would sort of solve the problem in a way. All right, here we go. We'll stop here. And this is a little bit tedious, but we have to go that way around the UP depot because those cabooses are actually fouling that switch. I think it might indeed be a good idea to take both cabooses just so that they're not on this track anymore. I think I'd rather have one just left in Mullen than have one just left in that spot. So yeah, come on back. And if you know the Wallace area, you know, of course, that this depot is long gone, but it was still around in 1980. I'm guessing it was probably torn down shortly after that, maybe within a year after the filming of Heaven's Gate. But it is visible for like 2 seconds in the background of Heaven's Gate. Mother Slug says, "You're the yard master, brakeman, engineer, and conductor all in one." Indeed. But of course, in trains, you don't really need to do all those tasks. And as we've discussed, I often don't actually do the cab work. You know, I'm just doing the simple mode. Now, I have been playing a little bit of Derail Valley. I played a couple games, a couple hours basically, of Derail Valley, and I do really appreciate how beautiful their cabs are, but I also appreciate how their locomotive physics and controls are so well thought out and so, I think, accurate, although I wouldn't really know. And I'm trying to bring that as much as possible into trains, although I can't say for sure, especially about the issue of locomotive physics is a difficult one to answer. So what we're going to do with this train, and of course the having 2 cabooses doesn't necessarily help with this, but we are going to pick up cars along the way. Especially in Mullen and also in Larson. Larson has some limestone. Cars should be just sitting there, they're already full, and they just need to go back to Haugen. Alright, now Mullen NP track, NP main is going to be starting to get a little bit full. So actually I can see that it's track 2 that we should be using, not track 1. That is unfortunate. It's totally blocked here. Going to say that the only possible solution here that will really satisfy all our needs is going to be to go forward and push these out of the way. But I believe that we can get this task completed. Excuse me, throat is a little bit dry, so just trying to prevent myself from coughing by getting a little bit more water. Yes, flipping the camera all over the place. And we definitely have a lot of cars. Mullen is getting extremely congested. So basically need to get all of these cars out of the way because that NP local will be coming in shortly. But I think that should be possible. This is obviously some reefers left over from an earlier fruit delivery that we made. So perhaps I will tag these as going to Porto Plummer. Porto Plummer is where we take things that are going towards the direction of Spokane, Oregon, California, anywhere the UP would serve in the west. And in general, I do try to reflect that cars that come on from Missoula have to leave in the direction of Missoula, although the railroads evidently cooperate quite a bit in their shunting activities and their sharing of tracks, etc. I don't think it's good to share everything as if all these cars belong to one railroad. And here's another train with an excessive number of cabooses. And I guess it is the intention to leave one of these cabooses in Wallace, so we have more of an inventory. Should have done that already. Lots of yellow. Yellow and red. And we are coming up against some time constraints. So we'll try to be mindful. I believe that all three of these will unload satisfactorily. It's these three in the middle here. They will unload satisfactorily, but only if we do not take the two boxcars at the end of the train. They will not fit. And that I am sure of. But that should be no problem. It doesn't look very tidy, but that is where they're going to sit for the time being. And then once we spot these at the platform, we can mark that task as done, and 3 of our daily tasks will have been completed. The loading of furniture, which I modeled as manufacturing goods because furniture didn't load properly in Wallace, That will be one daily task as well as the loading of these 2 boxcars over here on the left with general goods from Mullen. So that will be 2 more tasks completed. But they're only completed when those goods reach their destination or leave the map effectively. So that's another reason to be in a hurry with that NP local. And that is looking really excellent here. Okay, to finish up, we're just going to take these cars that Jessica is loading. We're going to load that last boxcar here. And that will finish up the loading of all of these silver ingots and all of the lead ingots, I believe. And then these two trains here that are at the smelter right now, plus these 2 boxcars of general goods, they will be assembled in the next episode into a new local train, which will leave the map. And we can indeed have Tasha Yar go on autopilot up to the smelter unload. Navigate to smelter or MI2. And I think Tasha Yar will indeed be the person to take them off the map, along with all these other empties. And so that's where we're going to have to leave it for this episode 18 of the Wallace branch, and we are making excellent progress. It is obvious that we're going to finish this session, long playthrough, extended playthrough, in sometime in the next day, not in this day, day 3, but sometime in day 4, this extended session will be completed, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's going extremely well. We're not making as many mistakes as I anticipated, not derailing as much as I anticipated, although there have been some foibles in that area, but most episodes we make it through cleanly. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing next session, and of course we'll be picking up where we left off with the NP local when that happens. So when the time comes next week, hope to see you there. Thanks for joining.